I got a message on Facebook a minute ago, and the guy was looking at Google Earth pictures and pointed out this depression right here in my yard. He could see it from above, and of course, depending on the weather, and sometimes it's greener because it's lower or whatever there, and so that's why I see it. And I was explaining to him that this has been there since before I moved here, and so we're going to walk over here and see if you can see down here. The ground's a foot and a half lower. It's a huge area right there in front of that gate. Right there is the ground's lower. So what I was doing was I was explaining to him, and I even have a video on this, how this entire home, it's bizarre, is buried a foot to a foot and a half deep on dirt after it was built. Okay, I have a video showing that, and I went around my entire home and I dug out several places like here, and I dug down to the foundation, and I showed where the foundation of the home is below the ground level. That's against code. You're supposed to have weep holes in there, so it wasn't done when this home was built in 1982. I believe it was done 85, 87, because I found a work permit for a sprinkler install. There's a sprinkler head for the first homeowner, Randy Offenberger, for 1985. So if all this extra dirt that was put on the lawn was done after the sprinklers were installed, it would have buried the heads, and they would have had to go in there and cut the risers and put an extension on there so the head wouldn't be buried a foot and a half under the ground. And so this isn't a what if, could be. My fence, this has been replaced here. The whole bottom of that fence was buried a foot and a half deep with this extra lawn. That depression is the original level. When it's down low, that's what it was when the home was built in 1982, and all this extra dirt was added on. Well, that's a huge expense. If you were going to do that, you'd have to have somebody haul dirt in, spread it out, and what I believe, and it makes sense, is that the reason that this was done is because of the underground home building and the tunnel building. Okay, so then they had that excavation dirt that they were either going to have to pay to haul off, or they could just spread it out on the lawn. Okay, there was a former neighbor lived directly across the street, named Ken Slager, and he worked for my company. And anyways, his group, he was a commercial director. His group took care of the oil booth at the oil show, or our company booth at the oil show, which is really convenient because it's believed that right here in this area is one of them underground homes based on Google Maps. This is the area right here where it's believed one of the 4 3-bedroom underground homes is right there. And so, but while we were one day working, he tells me the exact type of grass that I have planted at my house. He says, yeah, that's a Bermuda number 57 or whatever. And he knew exactly what it was. I would later sit there and think, I wonder if he knew that because that was the grass that was ordered and placed on top of the extra foot and a half of dirt. And so I've long wondered if Ken knew about this underground home where they were hosting oil show parties, especially since he was a commercial director for my company and took care of the booth at the oil shows, and etc. And then he knew the exact type of grass that I had planted, and so that's where I thought maybe maybe that grass was planted after this extra dirt was put in there. So anyway, I just did a short video on that depression right there, and then on this house being buried, and so I'm thinking. Then one other last thing, I was contacted by Layla O'Brien, a CAD programmer out of Houston, told me, she said, I worked on this project right here, and it was completed in 1987. It was called Safe Houses. It was a budget of $7.35 million. She said, I asked her, I said, do you have to sign any, non-disclosure? Oh, well, I had to sign more stuff there than any other job I ever worked, And she believed the Bushes were connected to it. And back in the mid-'80s, Bush Sr. was vice president, and this is his hometown, So I've often wondered if these 4 underground homes were connected to the bush and goes all the way back to Washington, and that's why we have the unprecedented cover-up. But right now it looks like they're connected to multiple murders besides, them coming into my home and hunting me like an animal and shooting me and leaving me to die, and it looks like it was some corrupt police that tried to murder me. This is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.